Alright, look, before you start yelling at me in the comments and pulling the 9, yes, there are perfectly legitimate reasons to buy a 1440p monitor, and it's been called the sweet spot in PC gaming for a long time for a reason. But guys, fellas, we need to talk about 1440p because I'm not so sure it is the sweet spot for everyone anymore, and in today's video, I'm going to try and convince you to move to 4K for your next monitor, even if you think your PC can't handle it. And in order to do that, first we need to establish the difference between these common resolutions and why you might or might not have cataracts. So like many of you, I started off with 1080p, yuck, which is 1920 by 1080 or 2,073,600 pixels. From there, most hardcore gamers will move to 1440p, which is 2560 by 1440 or 3,686,400 pixels or 77% more than 1080p. And then the crazies like me have moved on to 4K, which is 3840 by 2160 or 8,294,400 pixels, 4 times 1080p or 2.25 times 1440p. And therein lies the first reason I'm twisting my nipples and gnashing my teeth at 1440p. Sure, it's a big jump over 1080p, which looks very pixelated, but in my opinion, it operates in this goofy middle ground where it's not pixelated, but it still looks very blurry to me regardless of how large or small this screen is. And only once you reach 4K do games really start to look crisp and clear. And at 8K, it looks nearly perfect, but I think we can all agree native 8K is definitely a waste of resources, at least today. But speaking of native, that brings me to the second reason I just don't really like 1440p anymore, and this has everything to do with upscaling. All modern GPUs have access to upscaling technologies like DLSS, FSR, or XeSS, which allow us to render at a much lower res and then output our native resolution without too much loss in quality, at least when it's done well. And with almost all new games having one of these options, and considering that not only does it work much better on high resolution screens, but even rendering at 1080p and upscaling to 4K looks much better than native 1440p in my opinion, it begs the question, what's the point of 1440p? Now sure, for all you G Fuel boofing, snorting pro gamers, yes, native resolution will always be best so you can eliminate any possibility of ghosting or artifacting, but for everyone else, honestly, what the fuck are we doing here? I mean, I even ran 4K games reasonably well on a mobile RTX 4050 with upscaling and reduced settings. So again, I have to ask, from a quality perspective, is there really a good reason to stick with 1440p? And I think the answer for many will be no. And with the trend of all media like games with high resolution assets, movies, streaming services, consoles, TVs, etc., all having 4K as the standard right now, it feels really bizarre to be left behind on PC, which funnily enough can be the most powerful platform. And I think you have to consider that not just gaming benefits from higher resolution. Everything you do on PC will immediately look better, and from a utility perspective can make working easier. For example, it's much easier to get high quality screenshots or screen recordings on a 4K display than a 1440p one. But before you start sending threats, as I mentioned at the beginning, yes, there is still at least one good reason to consider 1440p, and it's a big one: price. Let's face it, good 4K monitors are not only more expensive, but if you're dead set on running max settings, it's also going to require a more expensive GPU, especially for games that don't support upscaling. Now, my opinion is 4K with lower settings looks much better than 1440p with max settings in the vast majority of games, but not everyone is going to agree. So that's why, even though I personally wouldn't run 1440p today, and I would try and urge people who are on the edge between 1440p and 4K to probably go towards 4K if it's within their budget, I'm definitely going to continue to review 1440p monitors, especially since they tend to have higher refresh rates at lower prices. Whether you're looking to connect a new console, gaming PC, or just need a fast and reliable HDMI cable to connect over long distances, Rupro has you covered with their certified 8K HDMI 2.1 fiber optic cable, available in sizes of up to 50 feet and can deliver a perfect full 48 gigabits per second connection over distances other cables could only dream of reaching. And with 48 gigabits per second of bandwidth, it can easily drive 8K 60 FPS or 4K 144 FPS 10-bit HDR video through its ultra-thin, flexible, and durable housing, and it even supports ER. So if you're in the market for a cable that can drive a beautiful new TV or monitor, be sure to check out Rupro on Amazon today.